Today on Dice to Pixels, Sarah's got a little bit more conversation about talkie NPCs, and we've got a few other things to chat about.
And I'm back from fishing.
Sarah?
Yeah, so we were talking about games where you can't understand the language, and then you're building your understanding of it.
No Man's Sky style,
Exactly.
like Tunic, No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
17.
Yes, that one. Immediately after that, well, not immediately after that episode, that night when Chad and I got home, I downloaded a game that actually ended up to be exactly that. It's Chants of Sennaar.
Chants of Sennaar.
It's on Game Pass right now, too.
Interesting.
Yes. Basically you're traveling up, what is essentially the Tower of Babel. Ooh. And there's 4 different sections within it, and for some reason all of the people within each section no longer can understand each other, so you're sneaking around and learning the language as you go.
Interesting.
Yeah,
chants as in ritual, so like chants of Sennaar, not chant. I was thinking chants like dice, but no.
Chant.
I'm gonna check that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well that was quick.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
It was quick.
Chants of Sennaar, it's like, oh god, I need to go to the bathroom. Natural one, I pissed my pants.
No, that's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like that mechanic. I will definitely have to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And even like visually, like the art style of it is quite pleasing to the eye. It's not like
I was seeing some screenshots. It looks kind of cool. Yeah,
it's definitely a Sarah game.
Yep.
Yeah,
and an Adrian game.
There's been a lot of Sarah and I'm gonna say Adrian games that have been released on Game Pass lately. A lot of them came out for PlayStation probably 6 to 12 months prior, but still, I'm glad that they're coming out to everybody, so like the other console can play. Like Neon White was one that was highly criticized as like being one of those Game of the Year contenders, with its playstyle of like card-based first-person shooter kind of fast-paced fusion. I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna try it. There was one that just came out called Dungeons of Heterberg. I'm grasping at straws there because I don't have a computer in front of me.
No, you're close. Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Hinterberg, right. So it's like it takes place, and I started playing this one. It takes place in an isolated town in Europe, I'm assuming, probably Germany or Austria.
Yep.
And there's no internet, there's no Wi-Fi, but there's a ton of dungeons. Like this magic is suppressing like all of those like internet
modern technologies.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of dungeons you can explore in this, and it's a third person, but I think some of the perspective changes depending on how far you get in the game. Looks really cool. I started playing it. It's got a very cool like kind of cell shaded art style to it. It just released on Game Pass this past week, so yeah, I'm gonna dig into that this weekend probably.
Assuming that it is the Hindenburg, it would be Austria.
Yes. Yeah. The development team, I believe, is based in Austria too.
That seems likely because I think I'm looking at their headquarters right now on Google Maps.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Game Pass, Microsoft has been keeping true to their word about getting more stuff on the old pass of games. There's a bunch more. There's a bunch leaving, but there's a bunch coming back. Even more coming on in August. I don't think they've released the list yet, but I've seen talk of like 14 games being added or something.
Age of Mythology is coming.
Yep.
To Game Pass on September 4th of this year. Tchia, which is one that I was.
Tchia's on.
Yeah, it's on now.
Yeah.
That's one that I was saying that probably Sarah would like, but to me it looks like almost a kind of Breath of the Wild-ish kind of game, which this makes sense to be that kind of a game.
Yeah. Well, and hey, like Breath of the Wild, if you get rid of the weapon fatigue thing, I didn't mind it. It's just the weapon fatigue ruined the game and the frame rate.
Agreed.
So
agreed. Yeah, and also Magical Delicacy and Flock. Flock was one when I first seen Flock. Instantly right away, I'm like, this is a Sarah game.
Yeah, and when I watched the trailer, it made me think of the game Flower. I don't know if you ever heard or seen that one.
I don't think I did, no.
PlayStation. It was a PS3 game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't remember the name of the company that did it, but they also did another game called, I think, Flow
Flow
And-
I've heard of.
Yeah, the
I
one
played
with
Flow.
the bacteria
Yeah.
eating and getting bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was made by the same company.
They also did that one where you were
Journey.
like Journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did that one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so with flower, you're basically a flower petal that's going through, blowing on the wind.
Oh, okay.
And you're
no, I have
picking up
seen
other
that. Yeah,
flowers.
yeah.
So flock is, I think you're look like you're a humanoid, and you find some sort of bird, and you're getting more birds
Oh,
to solve problems with you, I guess. But
Cool.
you're flying around in a flock. Imagine that. Or there's flying sheep as well, which made me
Flock off.
very
Well, I
happy.
mean, gotta have flying sheep.
Oh, a flock of sheep.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, Game Pass is killing it.
That's great.
They're great. I don't know what their sales are like, but from a like marketing logistics sort of, they're killing it.
Mhm.
So, should I tell the people? Are we settled on doing the live stream thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, let's go for it.
so we'll give everybody a quick window into what we were just chatting about. We have not live streamed in a very long time, and I've been wanting to and everything else. So what we're gonna do, starting in about 2 weeks, give or take, we are going to, as we're recording, we will be live. And we probably won't be interacting with chat a lot for the first like 15-20 minutes, because that'll be sort of the core podcast episode. But then after that, we'll do Q&A, answer questions if people are watching, hang out, interact, and we'll cut the main episode out of the stuff that we didn't really interact with chat all that much, and then the rest of it will come out as like separate videos throughout the week. It gives us a chance to actually interact with the people that watch every week, and also gives us a little bit more content. So it's a win-win.
Yep.
So we're filming 2 episodes tonight, I think is the plan. So you won't see this happen for at least 2 weeks, but after that, hopefully it will be the order of the day.
Yeah,
We'll be
because-
live whenever we're filming. There won't be a set time necessarily,
Yeah.
but
Because it's summertime, and I mean, we're constantly. I just got back from fishing, and immediately we're going up north again, but just not further north. We're just like Sarah
Only
and I
a
are.
couple-
We'll be away next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
it'll be nice to actually hang out a little bit with the audience.
Yeah, we were briefly talking about in a previous life how we would do our old show Side 7.
Yeah, which was really what sort of gave birth to this. Was
Yeah,
chat,
yeah.
you and I had a little podcast, and then
Yeah.
we were like, let's just keep it going.
Yeah, and and again, like, it was one of those things where we had a blast doing it, and talking to a bunch of people watching, you out there, and yeah, the going live thing, just kind of touching base with everybody and like answering questions. It's funny because we would talk about things like retro or just whatever tabletop, and we would see comments like happening and reacting and stuff. So let's try and rekindle some shit.
And sometimes there will be news that we didn't hear about that's like, oh, maybe we should look into that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for a little bit of a window into what we do, like when we start recording, we almost always film in one shot.
Yep.
Like very occasionally, if I have to like yell at a cat, we'll snip that out. But really, honestly, there's only been like twice that we've ever cut something out of the episode.
I farted really loud
Yeah.
once.
I forget what the other one was, but one I was talking about a religious board game, and I decided that it just wasn't worth keeping it in. I didn't say anything that crazy. I was like, it's not worth it.
Considering the other weird things that the algorithm picks up on.
Yeah, it just wasn't worth it. But like we film in one shot, so we don't do cuts. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed we don't really do cuts except to switch camera. And so we figure, why not just do it live and then hang out for a little while afterwards and talk to people. So
Yep.
a couple weeks we should be doing that, and hopefully that'll be something people enjoy. I know we have a small audience, but I also know that we have a dedicated audience because we get the same people back every week. So
Yeah.
it'll be nice to spend some time together.
And
Yeah, hell
thank you
yeah.
for that.
And we love you guys and gals if they're out there. I don't know if I think YouTube tells me our audience is pretty much exclusively male.
Yeah,
but-
on TikTok too. I think it's 7%
Yeah.
female. Slowly climbing.
well, that's good.
Ooh.
I'm working
That's
on
good.
it.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Wow.
so that's something to look forward to.
Ooh.
You said that you had been playing other games this week, though. At least it sounded like that's what you said. You said it was a good gaming week for you.
Oh, in terms of finding games to play off of Game Pass.
Yeah.
So when I'm finished Chants of Sonar, I'll
I
have
see.
so many.
You
more.
have a backlog.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
chat already pre-downloaded for more
I got
games
you.
for
Oh
me.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, me too. Like, so my brother's weekend has come and gone. Me and the clan McCallum, me and my two brothers have gotten together. So we had our annual Nintendo Switch Mario Golf tournament over the weekend. I won. It was a close between me and my little brother Adam, but it got us into the whole retro gaming thing because I started playing Castlevania, the old school. I'm like the old school Castlevania, like the NES ones. My brother Adam has he has like one of those old classic Nintendo carts that has like 100 or 200 300 games on the cart itself. You pop it into the Nintendo and you can play whatever.
Yeah.
I have the Castlevania Anniversary Collection on my Switch. So I was playing that, and then my brother heard the music, and instantly it became a retro thing, right? So my little brother Adam was playing some classic Castlevania and swearing and cursing at it, as you should. I mean, it's a retro game. It's hard for a reason. But then my nephews went downstairs, and they were again playing like my one nephew is fixated on beating his dad and I at Blades of Steel on the Nintendo. Not gonna happen. Certainly it didn't happen this year. We both beat his ass handedly. But it's funny. The one thing getting on what I meant to get on here, watching kids now play retro games from like the Nintendo is comical, but yet also painful, because it's funny when Sarah doesn't mute her phone. No, it's because you look at the controllers nowadays, right? And like we have, so here we go.
Yeah, Xbox, I was gonna say
right?
Pick one.
There we go. Xbox controller, tons of buttons on there.
Yeah,
I can watch my nephews play on an Xbox, and they're just like it's clockwork, right? But you give them just 2 buttons on a Nintendo controller.
I actually don't have one of those here.
Yeah.
Usually
there
I do.
used to be one
There used
here,
to be one
yeah.
here,
Usually
but
there was, yeah.
you give them an old classic Nintendo controller, dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Stupid, really.
They're like, what do I do?
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea. We watched, my brother and I watched my nephew play Super Mario Brothers. It's been a long, long time, roughly 35 years,
Yeah.
since I've seen somebody die not even halfway into World 1-1.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean like game over die.
That's pretty bad.
Oh,
That's pretty bad.
even I'm not that
Yeah,
bad.
it was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where, once again, as with last year, my little brother Adam was just like, give me that fucking controller, and schooled him on this. And my nephew's like, how are you doing that? He's like, you hold this to death. Like, you can handle this. This is no problem. But you like to play on like a classic Nintendo system is difficult.
Well, it's what they don't get right is you got to press the button harder to jump higher. That's the important.
Right? So
It's so funny how instinctively I still do that when I'm playing.
Every time I play, it doesn't matter. Every time.
it's comical. It is so comical.
Yeah,
even,
and I wonder, like, I'm sure watching my young self play it these days, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? But like, we picked it up pretty quick. I know I did because I remember.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It's
like I know I finished Castlevania like back on the old classic NES cartridge.
For
like
sure. Yeah.
I know I finished 1. I finished 3, and 3 is probably harder.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying much because Castlevania 1 and 3 are just as hard.
Yeah.
But I remember finishing them.
Well, like I remember as kids, my brothers and I would do like clean runs of Mario 1 where like there was no deaths. So it's like, I know we were good at it. It might have taken us a little while to get there, but like, I know we were good at it.
Yep.
And I'm sure if I played it a bunch now, I'd the same thing. Because Super Meat Boy I can play. It's just I don't remember all of the worlds for Mario. So
yeah.
But yeah, I do wonder if I went back in time and stood over my younger self's shoulder, if I'd be like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah. Well, I went back. So it's with that, and as well as for some reason, unbeknownst to me, my feed has been full of the Dorkly Mario bits.
Okay.
They're comedy sketches that they do. Dorkly, and again, if you're not subscribed to Dorkly, check them out. They have some great videos, some great content there. Their gaming stuff is fucking hilarious. Their parody stuff. They have a bunch of Mario collections. So I've been watching like their Mario compilations of stuff, and watching it's gotten me like, well, fuck, now I need to go and play the Super Mario game. So I went, not played the NES version, but I booted up the Super Nintendo Online and played the Super Mario All-Stars version of Super Mario. I started playing Super Mario 3 again. I'm still good.
Yeah.
I haven't died yet.
Super Mario 3, I had no problem picking back up. Super Mario 1, I'm not terrible at it, but I mean, I cut a few shorts. I die. I have yet, I can't sit down and beat it in one setting.
Yeah.
I used to be able to. I can't anymore. Mario 3, I don't have any problem with because it's a lot more forgiving. It's still a little challenging, but it's a lot more forgiving.
Oh yeah, big time.
You and I still someday we got to do a live stream of that.
Yeah, we do.
Someday when we can spend the entire day live, sort of.
Yeah. Like Mario 1 or Mario 3 or whatever, one of them.
Yeah.
I still stand. Super Mario World on the Super NES is still my favorite Mario game. I loved everything that added to it, but Mario 3 has a near and dear space in my heart because one, the Wizard movie when growing up, and that's how everybody found out about the warp whistle.
Yeah.
And how if you duck on a white block in the fucking early world, you can fall behind it. And so
I think Mario 3 is the one that stands out in my memory the most, partly because of the graphics. It was one of the first games that had what I would call modern pixel art.
I would agree.
Oh, let me clarify. I'm sure there were a bunch of Japanese games that had it. It was the first one that I played that had modern pixel art because it still stands up to this day. Yep. You look at it, you look at Mario 1 and you're like, yeah, those are pretty grody graphics. I don't mind them, but they're pretty grody. Yeah. Mario 3, you're like, this looks like a game that would come out tomorrow, right?
It was one of those games where, if you've seen, Mario 1 looked strictly 2D with the animations, but with Mario 3, they added how when he's running, it looks he's running like this, side to side, and looking at it, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. It would not be out of place if somebody released Mario 3 tomorrow, having never seen it. I'd be like, oh, these aren't amazing pixel graphics, but they don't look out of place. Mario 1, you'd be like, oof, bud, maybe spend a little more time on your graphics. But it's the first one I remember playing that was legitimately impressive.
Yep.
And then obviously some of the later Final Fantasies were what we would call Final Fantasy 3, I guess. FF6, I guess it is. Yep. Was oh damn, that's modern. There's no distinguishing that to present day pixel art.
Even Chrono Trigger.
For sure.
Chrono Trigger. And then even when they started doing the Super FX stuff with Star Fox.
Oh yeah.
On a 16-bit console.
Star Fox was so damn cool.
Seeing polygon graphics on a 16-bit console like that.
I love that Star Fox had those were chips in the cartridge that added compute power. I love that. That was so cool.
Yeah.
But
good times.
Yeah, I love retro games. There's something that will never die about retro games.
So I ended up
a lot because they're hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I ended up and again, brothers weekend kind of thing. We did our Mario Golf, and my younger brother and I played Mario Kart on the Switch. But we did a lot of retro gaming. I ended up buying Nintendo Switch Sports, which is basically the spiritual, it's the sequel to Wii Sports and Wii U Sports. Not as good.
I didn't expect it to be as good. Is it? Is it decent?
It's good.
Okay.
It is good. It has the same kind of vibe to it, but
nothing's ever going to be as good as Wii Sports. Let's face it.
Yeah, both my brothers and I, and even my niece, except for the volleyball, which she fucking dominated on, said she never played it. You liar! I know you did. But it was all right. The bowling felt kind of the same. The extra gyroscopic movement and stuff with the Joy-Cons really when you're bowling, you can just add the curve to it with like a flick of the wrist, which I think with the Wii you had to like hit a button so that it would, instead of going, it would do like the arrow thing.
I think you held down one of the D-pad buttons.
Yeah.
And then there's something I think in the way that you swing your arm, because that always screwed me up too.
Like literally the Wii, you can just like do that, and it puts the spin on the ball, and so the bowling was. And also, too, you had to hang on to the button the entire way through, whereas in the Wii, you like let go of the trigger button when you were flinging the ball.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. Volleyball was fun, although I never really felt like I was in control of my player's movement. It's a lot of bodily. Like
I was gonna say, volleyball would just be hard to make it good.
It's a lot of physical, like act, like bump. Set and all that stuff. It's a lot of physical actions, but I never like you had the analog stick, but it never felt like you were moving with your character. It just seemed like your character was always there wherever the ball was going.
Yeah, there's
and it was dependent
a lot of assistance there.
Yeah, and it was dependent on whether or not you did the movement or whatever. Badminton was also kind of similar to that.
Did they have table tennis again?
No table tennis.
Oh,
there was golf. Golf sucked. Golf sucked.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, golf was horrible.
Did they have the frisbee again?
No, we didn't do the sword fighting. There was basketball was because all it was just like, then this sucked to me because you had 4 players and everybody, even if there was only 2 of you, there was 2 computer players, but you're all throwing the ball at the same time. So if all your balls hit and nobody got it in, I thought that kind of sucked.
Oh.
Yeah, you all went at the same time, so I was just.
So it was just like multiplayer free throws.
Yeah, and I was kind of on that. They have a 2-on-2 game where, if you're playing with just 2 players, the CPU takes over your other character, and it's just,
gross.
But
gross. I hate it.
We played it for like a night, but then we were right back onto retro stuff or like Mario Golf. So,
well, I played a new game this week.
Oh,
it was a board game.
Oh,
it's on Board Game Arena. If you're a premium subscriber, it's called That Time You Killed Me.
I've seen this and been wanting to try it.
It is interesting. So it's a time traveling chess game.
Oh, I'd be terrible at this.
So there are 3 very small, I think they're like 5x5, maybe even 4x4 chessboards. One is the past, one is the present, and one is the future. And so if you go from one of the boards to an earlier board, you duplicate yourself, and your duplicate goes to that board, and then you can keep moving. And every turn, at the end of the turn, you have to choose which era you're going to act in next. So you have to like plan ahead to what your opponent is going to do to respond to what they're going to do next turn. You have to respond in like 2 turns.
Oh, Jesus.
And so if moving forward, you don't duplicate, but moving backwards, you do. And there's a few ways to like take pieces. One is to squish 2 of their pieces together because that's a paradox and it kills them both. One is to just literally squish them against the wall. And then apparently it's a bit of a legacy game. As you play through, you unlock additional chapters with additional like obstacles and like whatever, probably like AI components or whatever. My brother bought the physical copy. He and I are going to play it at some point, but it is on Board Game Arena. The only thing I would say is if you are going to try it, it works asynchronously. There's no bugs, but you really should set aside the time to like do it live. You can do it remotely. That's not a problem, but you should do it live so that I move, you move, like back and forth. No waiting in between because it's already weird enough to like calculate out what you're going to do 2 and 3 turns ahead when you have to switch eras every time. Doing that over the course of like multiple days it gets dicey, but it's a very cool game. I really like that take on sort of the chess maneuver. It's not really chess. Like you can just move in any one of the 4 directions and forward and back in time. So it's not really chess, but it's on a chess-like board.
Okay. You lost me with chess. I'm like, shit.
No,
I don't know how to play chess.
It's just a pawn that you can move north, south, east, west, and forward and back in time. So it's not that bad, but really cool. I'm enjoying it. We've only played 3/4 of a game so far because we were playing asynchronously. He and I are going to get together and knock out a few games in person at some point. But yeah, that time you killed me. It is super cool. Also, other than like the base game, you could whip up in 30 seconds on a piece of paper. Like it's literally just 3 little chessboards. Obviously the rest of the game where you like unlock stuff, that's separate. But the base game, to give it an idea, you could easily whip up a physical copy with a printer and a chess pawn.
Is it tiered like layers?
As it's presented, it's just like left to right, so they're all laid out the same. But you could easily do it like
Star Trek kind
and
of.
I would, if I was making my own version of it, which I probably will. I would 100% stack it because it would just be cooler.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, very, very interesting game. Definitely takes some thinking because you, like I said, it's at the end of each turn, you have to pick your next era and you can't act in the same era twice in a row. So like, oh, okay, cool. I want to like be in this spot so that I can push his pawn in the future board against the wall. So I'll do that. I'll get myself set up, but then I have to go to a different era for my next turn and then come back and hope he's still in the same spot. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
cool.
I think that's the only new game I've played. My Factorio C Block run is slowly coming along.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing less of it, but I'm like 100 hours in now.
Oh my god!
I'm to be fair though, I'm treating it as an idler, which I think for C Block you kind of have to do it normally.
Mm-hmm.
So like I set up the next piece of manufacturing, and then I'm like, you can run for 3 hours, and I'll do other stuff, and then I'll come back and I'll have lots of materials to work with.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm still a long ways to go on it, but I'm determined to play C Block all the way through, hopefully before Factorio 2 comes out.
Nice. I finished my 2D Metroid adventure before I went away. I'm probably going to play through Metroid Dread again.
Okay.
But for now, I have to leave the Switch alone because Sarah has to finish playing her Golden Sun playthrough.
Yep.
Do you want to borrow mine?
What?
My Switch.
No, she's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Oh,
It's
I was going to say, you can borrow mine and then you have 2 for a while.
I've been playing the fuck out of it anyway, and there's a game on Game Pass that just came out called Flintlock, which is kind of like a Souls-like.
Okay.
And I want to play that. So.
Okay, because I haven't turned mine on in like 2 months now. So if you want to borrow, if you want a second one for a while, you can take it with you. Same with the Steam Deck.
I was gonna say your Steam Deck
wanna borrow that
literally
for a
has
while?
a layer of dust.
It has a good layer of dust on it.
We got one at home. We're good.
Well, if you ever want a second one for a little while, I've been playing mostly computer games,
PvP,
and board games. So
yeah, actually, so I will say this really quick before because we're almost at time here. But there's a game that came out called Gestalt Steam and Cinder, and it's a 2D Metroidvania.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It just came out on Steam. I'm very annoyed that it's not compatible with the Steam Deck.
Oh, really? I wonder if it will be.
I hope so.
Yeah, that seems like a miss.
Yeah, like the style of the game, because when I seen it, I'm like, oh shit, this is a me game, and I went to buy it, but then when I seen that there was nothing on there about Steam Deck compatibility.
Okay, so it's not that it's explicitly not compatible; they just haven't figured out that it is yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
it
was like, but
yeah, it'll probably get certified at some
point. I hope it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say like with the quality of the Windows emulator on it and everything, it's actually somewhat uncommon unless it's like for a 2D game, it's kind of uncommon that it can't run it. So, yeah. Cool. Yeah. We'll call this episode there. We're going to film another one probably right now. And then, as I said, in 2 weeks' time, hopefully we will be live to record the next one. We'll drop a note in Discord and on the community tab. But we hope to see you then.
Yep. Bye.
Toodles. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.